ledge. "You don't want to do this!" I yelled as I leaned out the office window. But the man remained where he stood on the building's ledge, the tips of his shoes peering over the concrete. He gazed down numbly at the throng of spectators congregating on the ground below. Many were filming him. "You don't understand," he replied sadly. It's over. She left me." He was close enough to be within my grasp, and I slowly reached towards him, thinking he was too immersed in his anguish to notice me. But I was wrong. "Stop that!" he shouted, and shakily inched further away from me. I shrank back. Already the crowd had swollen in number. Many more had gathered to watch the gruesome end of an unraveled man. I knew it would just be a matter of time before the cops arrived, and I prayed that they'd be accompanied by a negotiator far more trained than myself. "Listen, man," I pleaded. "I know we've never met before. I am just the night janitor who went to clean your office and saw the window open, but I can tell from that framed photo on your desk that you've got people you love. Are those two girls your daughters?" He nodded. "How do you think they'll feel when you never come back from work?" I spoke every word in a calm, even tone, though inwardly I was panicking. "Don't you think doing this would hurt them for the rest of their lives?" The man began to cry. "Look, I get it," I continued, never taking my eyes off of him. "I'm divorced myself, and it's hard, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world. Your kids still need you here." I reached for him again. This time, he didn't back away. "Come on," I said encouragingly. "I won't let you fall." He hesitated, then slowly began inching closer to the window. I was so absorbed in the moment that I never even heard the office door open. Just as his fingertips grazed against mine, I felt someone place a hand on my shoulder and roughly pull me away. Startled, the man on the ledge lost his balance. "No!" I yelled, but it was too late. He'd already begun to fall. His terrified scream meshed with those words of horrified onlookers. I will never forget the pulpy sound of his body hitting the ground. I turned around and locked eyes with a cop. Tears streamed down my face. "Why did you do that?" I demanded, my voice trembling with grief and rage. "I had him." He shook his head solemnly. "No, you didn't. Last night, he climbed onto the ledge of another building and threatened to jump. A man fell to his death trying to save him." An unsettling sense of confusion washed over me. "I don't understand." "You weren't going to pull him back inside through the window?" the cop replied gravely. "He was going to pull you out of it." Stability. Recording starts. "Hello, you must be Kendra." "Yes, Mrs. Michaels, so lovely to meet you. Please, have a seat. You come highly recommended, so consider this a formality." "Thank you, I'm very happy to hear that. Do you mind if I record the interview? I have terrible memory, you see." No, not at all, Mrs. Michaels. Go right ahead." "Bless you, my child. My Roderick can be a handful, you know, but he's such a sweetheart." "I'm sure he is, but after everything that happened, he is in dire need of some stability." "Oh, I am all about stability, Mrs. Michaels. If you don't mind me asking." "Yes, and please, call me Norma." "Oh, yes, of course, Norma. You mentioned that something happened to Roderick. May I ask what?" Oh, all that. Silly old thing. He was kidnapped about 2 years ago, snatched right from the daycare in broad daylight. Oh, I am so sorry. That must have been horrible. It was a challenging time, but we got through it. Did they catch them? The kidnappers. They came close a few times, but they kept moving around. For all I know, they're still out there. Oh God, I am really sorry I brought it up. Don't worry, you pretty little head, dear. I don't think we'll ever hear from them again. How can you be so sure? Well, they never got what they wanted, did they? I refuse to pay for the ransom demand. You cannot reward such atrocious behavior. Wow, that's a very interesting approach. How long was he gone for? He was restored after 3 months. 3 months? He was with them for 3 whole months. Surely he must have seen something that could point the police in the right direction. No, that's the first thing they sent. I'm sorry, I don't follow. The eyes. The eyes were the first parts of him they sent. I'm not sure if I fully understand. They sent you pieces of Roderick? Quite. Clearly, after such trauma, you can appreciate the need for stability. Yes, definitely. I mean, Jesus, how long did it go on for? What do you mean? I mean, how many pieces did they send before they let him go? Oh, I think you're getting the wrong idea. Here, let me show you instead. Roderick, meet your new nanny, Kendra. And Kendra, this is my sweet Roderick. Do you see now? They never stopped sending him to me. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Silly of them, wasn't it? All I had to do was reassemble him. Didn't cost me a dime. Jesus Christ. Parts of him keep falling off though. So, stability, Kendra. He needs stability. The robbers. The sound of my bedroom door creaking open roused me from my sleep. I drowsily opened my eyes and realized, with a jolt of unpleasant surprise, that the comforting glow of my nightlight was now extinguished. The house's electricity had gone out, and before I could roll over to face the doorway and ask my parents what was going on, I heard a voice pierce through the room's darkness. "It's just some kid," a woman whispered. "He's still asleep, and we have the money already, so let's go." I froze. My stomach plummeted and my heart raced. Were I not lying down, the incredible fear surging throughout my petrified body would doubtlessly have sent me collapsing onto the floor. I pressed my lips tightly together, forcing back the scream threatening to burst free from my mouth. "Are you serious?" A man's voice hissed incredulously. "There's 2 dead bodies in the other room, and you want to leave a potential witness alive?" Silent tears streamed down my face, and it took every ounce of self-control to remain unmoved. If the pair realized that I was awake, I knew they would kill me. "I didn't want that to happen either," the woman shot back, anger seeping from her hushed tone. "You said no one was going to be home, that they were supposed to be on vacation." "So I got my wires crossed. What's done is done. Now what are we going to do about this?" I heard a low, heavy sigh. Sweat droplets trickled down my forehead and landed on my sheets. "Look, The kid hasn't even seen our faces, the woman stated calmly. What's he gonna tell the police that can trace back to us? And you wanna risk that? Her companion argued. I told you, no loose ends. He's not a loose end if he didn't see anything. Listen, you're either in this with me or they're gonna find 4 corpses come morning. There was a long, tense pause, and I held my breath, terrified that I would be betrayed by the thundering of my own pounding heart. You'll make it quick and painless? The woman asked quietly. Of course, her partner replied sickly. Come on, help me pin him down. Murderous footsteps approached my bed. Defenseless, I gripped my blanket tightly and shut my eyes. Suddenly, I hear 2 heavy thuds, followed by a succession of frightened screams. Somehow, I found the courage to look up. I peered over my bed and watched wide-eyed as the pair was dragged beneath it. They clawed at the floorboards and pleaded and wept, but there was no use. Within minutes, they disappeared from my sight forever. Bones snapped and something wet spilled onto the floor. Then the room fell silent. I've been sitting in the darkness ever since, praying for the sun to rise before the sound of unsatiated growling returns. I loved my parents, but they were wrong. There is a monster under my bed. Inside. Do you know what a C-section is? It's not like the movies. Not a neat incision, a gentle scoop to get the baby out, in and out in like 5 minutes. No, it's brutal. Nurses and doctors screaming at each other, blood, masked, and violent jerks. I've observed quite a few, hidden behind the veil next to my wife's head, but I could see everything, veil or not, and you can't mentally return from that. We were in the middle of nowhere when the contractions started. We'd had our fair share of false contractions, but these were different. These were real. She wants out, my wife yelled, sweat dripping down her tortured face. Are you sure? I mumbled ignorantly. Are you sure we need the hospital? Yes, she screamed. I should have known better than to question her. My wife knew what our baby wanted, and a mother always knows best. We pulled up to a hospital minutes later. It's so small, was the first thought that entered my mind. Small and remote. Fletcher County Hospital. I managed to carry my wife inside, the contractions now more or less constant, her raw, anguished wails burrowing into my ears. Please help, I said. She's in labor. A nurse came running to our aid, pale and gaunt. Another one joined, stocky and pallid. Stay here, sir, the nurse said calmly. Your wife needs an emergency cesarean. We'll come get you when she's prepped and ready. I nodded weakly, hesitant to let my wife's hand go. I'd been here before, not this particular hospital, but hospitals just like it. They always gave me the creeps. They rushed her away, leaving me wandering the hallways aimlessly. The nervousness, anxiety, dread, almost too much to bear. How long did it take? 10? 15 minutes? I don't know. Sir? A tall, anemic nurse called. We're ready for you now. I was led through endless hallways, downstairs, upstairs, until we finally arrived at the room. My wife's face was hidden behind the veil, only her body visible to me as I nervously stumbled in. He's here, a pasty man behind a surgical mask noted. Let's get started. I've been here before, and all I have to do is hold my wife's hand. Don't look, you don't come back from looking." "Doctor?" one of the nurses mumbled. "Oh my God, what is that?" The sounds were always the same. Flesh tearing open, a pulsating roar, blood squirting everywhere, screams of absolute horror and unimaginable pain as my daughter burst forth from the wound. Insatiable hunger, gruesome thirst, a will driven by pure malice. They never stood a chance. "Is she satisfied?" I whispered to my wife. "Is she dormant?" "Yes," my wife smiled weakly. "She's sleeping again, for now." We hit the road again soon after. We knew it was only a matter of time before we had to stop again, but we had to keep going. She's been 10 years inside. Here's hoping for 10 more. Bugs. Trevor stuck his tongue out, frantically spewing spit on the ground. When he noticed my gaze, his disgusted grimace turned into an embarrassed smile. "Sorry about that, bro. A fucking bug flew into my mouth." He spent a few seconds ensuring his mouth was empty before we continued, talking about nothing in particular as we approached our school. And once we arrived, we went our separate ways, not having any morning classes together. When lunchtime came, I noticed that Trevor seemed a bit off. His skin was flushed and his movements were unusually sluggish, and he was barely touching his sandwich, which he usually devoured immediately. Our other friends apparently noticed these signs as well, and as we began shooting one another concerned glances, it was decided that I'd be the one to ask. Trevs, you okay?" "Oh, what? Oh, yeah, totally. I think I just have a cold or something." "All right, whatever you say, dude." He nodded before taking another bite of his sandwich, cringing as it slid down his throat. During sixth period, I noticed Trevor raised his hand, and a thin line of blood trickled down his nose, so I anticipated his inquiry to use the bathroom. And as he got up, I turned towards him, now legitimately worried. "Trevs, you should call your parents to come pick you up or something." He shook his head, stumbling out of the classroom and into the hallway. He came back during the last 5 minutes of class, holding his nose with a completely red paper towel. His state deteriorated even further by 8th period. Somehow, Trevor looked skinnier, his ribs now protruding from his shirt. He heaved as he retrieved his notebook, picking it up with the same force someone would a watermelon. Sweat fell in sheets to the desk below. "Trevor," I turned to him, drawing a serious expression. "You need to go home, or at the very least go to the nurses." No, I'm fine." "Dude, you look like you're fucking dying." "Shut up!" He shouted this more to himself than me. "It's just allergies." "No, it's not." I raised my hand. "Mrs. Norbury, Trevor needs to go to the nurse's office." She looked up from her computer, startled by the state of my friend. "Oh, wow. Yes, he does. Trevor, pack up your things." As our teacher turned to the intercom, he sighed, tilting towards me with an exhausted expression. "I'm fine, dude. Stop making such a His head suddenly swung back, as if it had been unhinged from his neck, bending to face the ceiling at an unnatural degree. Trevor's mouth contorted into a wide gasp, and his torso began spazzing. A collective scream rang through the classroom as thousands of black specks erupted from his mouth. The insects buzzed in a cacophonous unison as they rose, meshing into a whirling cloud against the ceiling. We tried running for the door, but it was already too late. The cloud of bugs began their descent, hungry for new hosts. The hiding spot. Hey bud, what you doing? Drawing a comic book? Cool, what's it about? It's about them, and this guy here knows how to get rid of them. Oh yeah? How does he do that? Well, he figures out the light hurts them, so he gets a bunch of flashlights. A small nervous smile breaks across his dad's face. That sounds like a good plan. I think so. Dad? Yeah, bud? What causes them? We don't know, bud. A little bead of sweat appears on Dad's forehead. Do you think light really hurts them? What do you think? I think so. Dad? Yeah, bud? Hoping his son didn't just hear that noise. Do you think we're safe from them here? What do you think? I think so. That street light is right above these bushes and light hurts them. I think so too, but it's bedtime now. Dad gives his son a kiss on the forehead as he falls asleep in his lap. He peeks out from the bushes and sees them moving toward their hiding spot. They've been losing ground to them for a couple of days now, and his goal, when this all started, was to maintain a sense of normalcy for his son for as long as possible, to not let the fear overtake him. But it'll all be over soon. After all, the light doesn't really hurt them.
Hi everybody, it's your creepy older sister here. Thank you so much for listening. You have no idea how I appreciate this. Since the channel is fairly new though, I would like to hear some comments or suggestions from you so that I can continuously improve my coming videos. If you want to know what the name of the channel means, you can check out the description below. If you want to send me stories to read, you can also check out my email and send it there. It's also in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can grow together here, and I'll definitely try my best to upload more each week. Once again, thank you very, very much. And to all the creepy experiences, bad vibes, scary people, and paranormal encounters, together we say to them, Tabi-tabi po.